Most people think a heist fails when something goes wrong. An alarm trips too early, a guard notices something, the police show up faster than expected. But that's not how most of these stories end. In case after case, the plan doesn't collapse during the break-in. The system gets bypassed, the money gets taken, the exit works. For a brief moment, everything is actually over. That moment, right there, is where things start to fall apart. Because success changes how people think. It creates confidence. Confidence creates movement. And movement creates evidence. What follows isn't panic or chaos. It's usually something much quieter. A call that didn't need to be made. An object that didn't need to be touched. A step taken after the job was already done. These aren't stories about bad planning or unlucky criminals. They're about what happens after planning ends, when people stop following the plan and start following instinct. Over and over again, the same pattern appears, not because these people were incapable, but because they were human. The next stories aren't connected by location, time, or method. They're connected by a single mistake repeated in different forms. The belief that once the system is beaten, nothing else matters. What you're about to hear are 50 heists that should have worked, not because they were brilliant, but because they were already finished, and each one was undone by a moment that came after victory, when no one thought they needed to be careful anymore. 1. In Antwerp, Belgium, a crew spent years preparing what should have been a perfect diamond heist. They infiltrated the diamond center as maintenance workers, studied the vault, bypassed motion, heat, and seismic sensors, and escaped with over $100 million in diamonds. The robbery itself was flawless. The mistake came afterward. The leader dumped evidence in a wooded area, including receipts and packaging, along with a half-eaten sandwich. Police recovered the trash, tested the food for DNA, and identified him. The heist succeeded. The cleanup failed. 2. In Florida, a bank robber executed a clean job. He wore a disguise, passed a demand note, received cash, exited calmly, and drove away. No alarms, no pursuit. Then he made a call to celebrate. He meant to dial his girlfriend. Instead, he dialed 911. Dispatch recorded his voice, his confession, and his location in real time. Police intercepted him minutes later, money still in the car. The robbery was finished. The unnecessary phone call reopened it. 3. In London, a gang tunneled from a rented shop into a bank vault, stealing millions from safety deposit boxes over an entire weekend. The tunnel worked. The timing worked. Their mistake wasn't structural, it was conversational. They used walkie-talkies to coordinate. A radio hobbyist overheard the chatter and alerted police. Investigators traced the tunnel site through rental records and surveillance. The money was already gone. The communication left a trail. 4. In New York, a man attempted to avoid fingerprints by coating his hands in superglue before robbing a bank. The teller handed over cash. He left undetected. Later, he couldn't remove the glue and went to an emergency room for help. Medical staff grew suspicious and contacted police. Officers recognized him from descriptions and found the money. The fingerprint plan worked. Seeking help afterward didn't. 5. In Las Vegas, thieves stormed a casino cage during a distraction and escaped with $1.5 million in chips. The theft succeeded. What they didn't consider was how casinos track value. The chips were electronically flagged and deactivated within hours. When one thief tried to cash them elsewhere, security alerted authorities. The crew was identified and arrested. They beat the guards. They didn't beat the system behind the chips. 6. In Chicago, 2 men chained an ATM to a truck and ripped it from a store wall. The machine came free exactly as planned. The force also tore the truck's bumper and hitch off. The ATM lay on the ground, still attached. Without the hitch, they couldn't load it. Police arrived to find the ATM, the bumper, and the license plate together. The extraction worked. The exit didn't. 7. In Germany, a car theft ring disabled a dealership's security system with malware and drove away multiple luxury vehicles. The hack worked. One member celebrated by posting photos with the cars on social media. The posts were public. A dealership employee recognized the vehicles and alerted police. Accounts were traced, cars were recovered. The breach succeeded. The bragging created evidence. 8. In California, a bank robber disguised himself with a beard drawn in permanent marker. The teller complied. He escaped. The marker didn't wash off. He went to work the next day with visible ink on his face. A coworker recognized him from news footage and called police. Surveillance matched the disguise. The mask hid him briefly. The permanence didn't. 9. In England, thieves rammed a car through a jewelry store window and began loading goods. They forgot to put the car in park. As they filled bags, the vehicle rolled back into the street. One chased the car, the other stood inside holding merchandise. Police arrived to find both. The smash and grab worked. Gravity finished the job. 10. In Texas, a man climbed into an unlocked armored truck and grabbed heavy bags he assumed held cash. Each contained coins. He collapsed under the weight within yards. Guards returned to find him struggling on the sidewalk. He was arrested immediately. The access was open. The physics were ignored. There's a moment that repeats in almost every story you've just heard. Not during the break-in, not during the escape. It happens afterward. Once the pressure is gone, silence becomes uncomfortable. People talk. They post. They leave traces without realizing they're doing it. Not because they're careless, but because they believe the hard part is over. The system was beaten. The money is gone. So what's left to worry about? That belief changes behavior. It turns discipline into confidence, and confidence into exposure. What stands out isn't how advanced these plans were, but how often they collapsed because someone couldn't resist being seen, heard, or acknowledged, even briefly. The crime didn't fail in the vault or on the street. It failed in the space where attention replaced caution. In Italy, a crew stole 3 Renaissance paintings worth over $50 million from a museum after disabling alarms and motion sensors. The theft went smoothly. They transported the artwork to a warehouse to wait for buyers. The mistake was environmental. The space wasn't climate controlled. Heat and humidity damaged the paintings within days. Panicking, the thieves tried to fix the damage with household paint. An art dealer immediately recognized the destruction and contacted police. The heist worked. Storage ruined everything. In New Jersey, a man robbed a convenience store wearing a plastic bag over his head as a disguise. The clerk complied. During the robbery, the bag restricted airflow. He became dizzy and collapsed from lack of oxygen before he could leave. Police and paramedics arrived to find him unconscious on the floor. The mask hid his face. It also stopped him from breathing. 13. In Nevada, a casino robbery crew stole high-value chips during a distraction and escaped on motorcycles. The chips were real. What they missed was that casinos track them electronically. The stolen chips were deactivated within hours. When one thief attempted to cash them, security flagged the transaction. Authorities traced the group. The theft succeeded. The value disappeared. 14. In Texas, a man robbed a pharmacy by passing a demand note. The pharmacist complied. The note was written on the back of a jury summons with his full name and address printed on it. Police traced him within hours and recovered the drugs. The threat worked. The stationery didn't. 15. In Illinois, thieves attempted to steal a laundromat's coin machines overnight. They broke open dozens of machines and collected thousands of dollars in quarters. The problem was weight. The coins required multiple trips to the car. On the 3rd trip, a patrol officer noticed the activity and investigated. The haul was real. The transport wasn't practical. 16. In New York, a robber threatened a store clerk with what appeared to be a gun. The clerk noticed it was a video game controller. Surveillance footage later showed the same man purchasing the toy from the store days earlier with his credit card. Police arrested him at his workplace. The intimidation failed. The purchase record remained. 17. In California, thieves hid inside a big box electronics store overnight to steal merchandise after closing. Once they began moving through the aisles, motion sensors triggered silent alarms. Police arrived while they were loading carts. The hiding worked. The building noticed movement. 18. In Florida, a robber staged a fake medical emergency to distract casino security while accomplices stole cash. The escape succeeded. Surveillance footage identified the group. One member posted photos celebrating the robbery online. Investigators matched the posts to the footage. The distraction worked. The internet remembered. In Pennsylvania, a man planned to rob an armored truck during a cash pickup. He chose a convenient location, directly across from a police station. Officers inside observed the robbery in progress and intervened immediately. The timing was perfect. The location wasn't. In Colorado, thieves cut through a dispensary roof after hours and stole cash and product. They hadn't planned how to exit. Unable to climb back through the opening, they spent hours trying to escape. Eventually, they called 911 for help. Police arrived and arrested them inside. The entry worked. The exit never existed. None of these plans collapsed because of a single dramatic error. They unraveled because of what was left behind. Trash. Paper. Objects that seemed too ordinary to matter. What's striking isn't how much evidence existed. It's how little was needed. These weren't scenes flooded with clues. They were quiet, almost empty. A receipt, a note, something touched once and forgotten. Planning focused on entry and execution. Cleanup was treated as an afterthought. And the system didn't need brilliance to respond. It only needed something to point at. What ended these heists wasn't complexity, it was permanence. Once something exists, it waits. 21. In New York, a man attempted to rob a bank using a fake handgun. The teller complied and handed over cash. What he didn't realize was that the gun was a realistic toy purchased days earlier from the same store. Transaction records tied the purchase to his credit card. Surveillance footage matched his face. Police arrested him at home. The threat worked. The receipt stayed. 22. At a European airport, a car theft crew used signal repeaters to capture key fob transmissions and unlock luxury vehicles from long-term parking. The cars started and drove away cleanly. What they ignored was infrastructure. License plate readers logged every exit. Cameras tracked the same van returning repeatedly. Police traced the pattern and recovered all vehicles. The technology opened the cars. The cameras closed the case. 23. In the U.S., a man tunneled into a bank vault from a rented basement next door. Weeks of digging went unnoticed until the bank upgraded its security mid-project. Seismic sensors flagged the vibrations days before the breach. Police waited. When he broke through with bags in hand, officers were already outside. The tunnel reached the vault. Time worked against him. 24. In England, two thieves smashed a jewelry store window and escaped on bicycles to avoid traffic. The plan assumed speed. The tires were flat. They pedaled at walking pace while witnesses followed on foot. Police arrived within minutes. The route was clever. The maintenance wasn't. 25. In California, a man posed as a delivery driver to approach armored guards during a pickup. The uniform convinced them to pause. When he opened the package to draw a weapon, it was empty. He'd left the gun behind. Guards reported the incident. Footage identified him later that day. The disguise worked. Forgetting the tool ended it. 26. In the Midwest, thieves backed a stolen truck through a big box store entrance and loaded electronics quickly. They sealed the roll-up door from the outside, then realized it couldn't be opened from within. Trapped inside with alarms blaring, they waited for police to arrive. The loading worked. The vehicle design trapped them. 27. In the UK, a man hid in a restaurant bathroom until closing to rob the manager during cash count. The robbery succeeded. His phone battery died during the wait. With no ride home, he knocked on a stranger's door to borrow a phone. The homeowner called police. The timing worked. The exit depended on a dead battery. 28. In Nevada, a poker cheating ring used marked cards to win big and cash out. The cashier paid real money. Casino systems logged serial numbers on high-value chips. Facial recognition matched the winner to a Players Club account registered with his real ID. Police arrested him hours later. The cheat worked. The database remembered. 29. In the U.S., a man phoned in a fake prescription for controlled drugs using a spoofed number. The pharmacy filled it. Automated monitoring flagged the quantity and the unregistered caller. Agents arrived before pickup. He was arrested at the counter. The impersonation passed. The alert system didn't. 30. In Europe, thieves impersonated police to enter a jewelry store and restrain staff. An employee memorized the badge number on the uniform. Records showed it belonged to an officer on duty elsewhere. Rental markings traced the costume. Arrests followed. The authority opened doors. The details closed them. On paper, many of these plans made sense. The routes were clear. The timing worked. Reality didn't cooperate. Weight matters. Distance matters. Time adds friction. What failed wasn't intelligence. It was assumption. Money is heavy. Vehicles break. Bodies tire. Plans treated movement as automatic, as if things would simply go where they were supposed to. They didn't. The theft succeeded in theory. In practice, the world applied resistance. And resistance doesn't need intent. 31. In California, a crew planned a warehouse break-in targeting Apple products by cutting through the roof at night. They rappelled inside, loaded bags with phones and laptops, and prepared to exit. The mistake was structural. The warehouse floor used weight sensors that detected inventory removal in real time. Alerts went out before the bags were full. Police surrounded the building and arrested the thieves as they climbed back up. The entry worked. The building noticed what left. 32. In the U.S., a man broke into a laundromat after hours and smashed open machines to steal quarters. He collected thousands of dollars. The problem was mass. Coins weighed hundreds of pounds. Multiple trips were required. On a later trip, a patrol officer noticed the activity and intervened. The theft succeeded. Carrying it finished him. 33. In a U.S. gun store, thieves smashed the front display and grabbed firearms quickly. The store's alarm sent a direct alert to police. Officers arrived within minutes and stopped the vehicle a few blocks away. Federal charges followed. The smash and grab worked. The response time didn't allow escape. 34. In the Midwest, an employee staged a robbery at his own store. He opened the safe, took cash, broke a window, and injured himself to sell the story. Cameras showed the sequence in order. Police arrested him the same night. The acting was convincing. The footage wasn't. 35. In Europe, thieves swapped a real diamond necklace with a near-perfect replica during a private showing. The switch went unnoticed. Store protocol required immediate verification after viewings. Staff discovered the fake within minutes and called police. The thieves were arrested in the parking lot. The replica fooled the eye. The process caught it. 36. In the U.S., a robber wore a rubber mask to hide his identity during a convenience store holdup. He escaped with cash. The heat made breathing difficult. He removed the mask nearby to get air. Cameras captured his face clearly. Police identified and arrested him the next day. The mask worked inside. Removing it ended the disguise. In a legal marijuana grow operation, criminals posed as police to stage a fake raid. Workers initially complied. When asked to produce a warrant, they couldn't. Real police were called immediately. Officers arrived while the thieves were still loading product. The authority worked briefly. Verification stopped it. In a bank cybercrime case, a hacker initiated a large wire transfer after breaching internal systems. The money moved. Regulations triggered automatic reporting for the transaction size. Investigators traced digital fingerprints to the source. The hack succeeded. The monitoring responded. In a pawn shop burglary, thieves entered through the roof and filled bags with valuables. Motion and weight sensors activated silently. Police arrived before the exit. The roof entry worked. The interior security didn't ignore removal. 40. In a small-town bank robbery, a man parked directly in front of the entrance in a handicap space. Cameras captured the plate and the visible permit. Records tied both to him. He was arrested the same day. The robbery worked. Parking made it obvious. Many of these operations overcame the system they targeted. What they didn't account for was the system behind it. Sensors don't panic. Databases don't forget. Protocols don't get distracted. The job didn't end when access was gained. It continued through logging, escalation, review. Success triggered response. And while people moved on emotionally, the system kept counting, recording, and comparing. These failures weren't caused by technology being smarter, only more consistent. The plan ended, the process didn't. 41. In the U.S., thieves broke into a pawn shop through the roof at night and filled bags with jewelry, electronics, and firearms. The removal triggered layered security designed for stolen goods environments. Silent alarms alerted police, while cameras recorded faces clearly. Officers arrived before the exit attempt. The roof entry worked. The shop's assumption that items would be stolen didn't. 42. In a quiet local bank, a man walked in with a handgun and demanded cash. The teller complied. He parked in a handicap space directly outside. Cameras captured the plate and the permit hanging from the mirror. Records tied both to him within hours. The robbery succeeded. The parking choice identified him. 43. At a construction warehouse, a crew loaded trucks with expensive tools overnight and drove away cleanly. Many items carried serial numbers and GPS trackers. The company reported the theft with tracking data. Police followed the signal to a storage unit rented by the thieves. The theft worked. The inventory reported its location. In a pharmacy robbery, a man called in a bomb threat to force evacuation, then entered to steal drugs. The building cleared as planned. Bomb threats are traced. Call records and nearby cameras identified him the same day. The evacuation worked. The phone call left a trail. In a dispensary smash and grab, thieves rammed a car through security doors during business hours. Timing was tight. Armed guards were present. They complied immediately at gunpoint and waited for police. The entry worked. The assumption about security didn't. In a credit union, a man impersonated an armored car driver to collect cash. Procedures required verification, two-person teams, and specific markings. Staff stalled and contacted the real company. Police arrived before any money moved. The uniform convinced briefly. The protocol ended it. 47. At a high-end restaurant, a crew used an inside hire to steal weekend receipts. The safe was opened and cash removed. The insider quit the next day. Management flagged the timing and reviewed footage. Police traced the hire and arrested the group. The access worked. The exit raised suspicion. 48. In a warehouse theft, criminals cut the roof and lowered in to load electronics. Floor sensors detected weight changes as items left shelves. Alerts triggered before departure. Police waited outside. The loading worked. The floor kept count. 49. In a convenience store robbery, a man used a realistic mask and escaped. Heat forced him to remove it nearby. Cameras captured his face at neighboring businesses. Police matched the footage and arrested him later. The disguise worked inside. Removing it ended anonymity. 50. In a fast food robbery, a man hid until closing and took cash during count. His phone died during the wait. With no ride, he knocked on a stranger's door to borrow a phone. The homeowner called police. The robbery succeeded. The aftermath exposed him. The most dangerous part of every story came at the same moment. Not at the beginning, not in the middle, at the end, when success felt real. That's when caution relaxed. That's when extra decisions appeared, ones that were never required. One more step, one more move, one more action after everything was already secured. None of these failures were necessary. They happened because stopping felt premature and restraint felt unnecessary. That's where the plan ended, and instinct took over. Looking back, none of these heists failed because the plan was weak. The planning worked. The execution worked. In many cases, the escape even worked. What failed was the assumption that success ends when the money is taken. Again and again, the same moment appears. A quiet pause after the system has been beaten, when people stop thinking in steps and start thinking in outcomes. That pause creates confidence. Confidence creates movement, and movement creates evidence. The mistake isn't dramatic, it's small, ordinary, often unnecessary. A call, a post, an extra trip, a decision made not because it was required, but because stopping felt incomplete. These stories aren't about criminals being outsmarted. They're about people misjudging the most dangerous phase of any operation, the part after it seems finished. Because systems don't relax when people do. They continue recording, comparing, and responding long after emotion has moved on. The difference between success and failure wasn't intelligence or effort, it was restraint. Not knowing how to break in, but knowing when to stop. Most people will never rob a bank or steal a vault of diamonds. But almost everyone has experienced this moment. The point where something is already working and one more unnecessary action quietly undoes it. That's the part that's hardest to notice and the easiest to repeat.